Hi, my name is John, and today we're diving into a chilling case that shifts dramatically from love to hate. Our story unfolds on a seemingly ordinary night, December 1st, 2010, but for Staff Sergeant Nathan Payette, it was a night that would change everything. Nathan, a dedicated serviceman stationed at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, found himself racing against time. Known for his punctuality, it was highly unusual when his reliable alarm clock failed to wake him. He stirred from sleep at 11 p.m., much later than planned, realizing with a jolt that he was late for duty. With no time to spare, Nathan quickly woke his wife, Michelle. The house was quiet as he hurried to take a shower. After a rushed goodbye to his anxious family, he made his way to the garage. The night was still, broken only by the sounds of his movements as he prepared to put on his uniform and start his car. But before he could leave, the silence was shattered by a series of loud gunshots. In a matter of seconds, chaos erupted. Nathan's children and wife, drawn by the noise, came running. What they found was a scene of horror. On the doorstep stood Nathan, staggering, his body bleeding profusely. It was clear he was on the brink of collapsing. Michelle, stricken with terror, rushed towards her husband, her mind racing with fear. But before she could reach him, Nathan fell to the ground. The clock marked around 11:30 p.m. when the desperate call was made to 911. "My husband has been shot. He's bleeding. Please, help him," Michelle screamed into the phone. The dispatcher, trained for such emergencies, quickly guided her through administering first aid. Frantically, Michelle tried to perform CPR on Nathan, but her efforts brought no relief. Paramedics arrived swiftly, and Nathan was rushed to the nearest hospital. Despite the medical team's best efforts to save him, the injuries were too severe. Nathan succumbed to a fatal neck wound, his life ending at the young age of 28. The news of Nathan's death sent shockwaves through his community. He was not just any man. He was an exemplary family man and a valiant serviceman. His murder, right on the doorstep of his own home in Las Vegas, sparked a public outcry. People demanded answers. Who could commit such a heinous act? What motives could possibly justify this brutality? Was justice served? These questions loomed large as the community grappled with the loss of one of their own. Born on February 12, 1982, in the village of Tamuning, Guam, Nathan Joseph Villagomez Payette had a life marked by both beauty and tragedy. Guam, a U.S. territory, not a state, is known for its stunning landscapes and strategic military significance. Growing up in such a paradisiacal yet complex setting, Nathan was the third of 5 siblings. His family was close-knit, with his 3 brothers, Matthew, Anthony, and Eric, and his sister, Carmela, sharing a deep bond. From a young age, Nathan stood out for his amiability and diligence. He was the peacemaker, the student who excelled without effort, the friend everyone gravitated towards. His early years were filled with the joys of island life. Swimming and surfing were not just pastimes but passions. It was during his high school years at South High School in the neighboring town of Santa Rita that Nathan met Michelle Ononatchuk. It was love at first sight for him. Their friendship blossomed into a deep, enduring love, one that saw them through the highs and lows of life. They were inseparable, sharing every moment, every challenge together. When tragedy struck Michelle's family with the loss of her mother, Nathan was her steadfast support, helping care for her siblings alongside her. After graduating in 2000, Nathan proposed to Michelle, and they began their life together. Initially working as a receptionist in a local hotel, Nathan soon realized that to provide for his growing family, now including their son, Dion, he needed a more stable and rewarding career. This realization led him to enlist in the Air Force, a decision that brought them stability but also eventually led to that fateful night. As we delve deeper into the investigation and the impact of Nathan's death in the following episodes, we aim to uncover not just the details of the crime, but also celebrate the life of a man who was so much more than the tragic end he met. Join me as we explore the life and legacy of Nathan Payette, whose story is a poignant reminder of the unpredictability of life and the enduring strength of love amidst loss. After Nathan joined the Air Force post-graduation, he was first assigned to Elmendorf Air Base in Anchorage, Alaska. This move, while significant for his career, left Michelle alone with their young baby. Despite the distance, the financial stability brought by Nathan's career allowed them to realize their dreams. They built their own house where their second child, a daughter named Niara, was born. As the head of the family, Nathan's success in the military fueled his and Michelle's ambition to attain the lifestyle they had once dreamed of. 6 years into their engagement, Nathan and Michelle celebrated their union with a grand wedding. The event was a source of immense pride for the family, especially for Nathan's mother, who beamed with pride at her youngest son's achievements. Eric, Nathan's brother, remarked on how Nathan was the first in the family to truly make something of himself. In 2006, Nathan's career took another positive turn as he was transferred to the Davis-Monthan military base in Arizona and promoted to the position of weapons loading team leader for the A-10 Thunderbolt attack aircraft. His responsibilities expanded to include training in logistics and material management. His dedication to his job was evident, and his colleagues often noted his love for his work and his country. By 2007, Nathan's career advancements led the family to move to Nellis Air Base near Las Vegas, Nevada. Here, Nathan took up a significant role as an assistant junior officer in charge of the supply section for maintenance of combat aircraft. Alongside his professional growth, Nathan's family also expanded with the birth of 2 more sons, Dron and David. Michelle particularly fell in love with Las Vegas, finding it an ideal place to live. Eager to make her happy, Nathan chose a spacious and bright house close to the military base, ensuring a comfortable life for their growing family. Initially, the joy of purchasing their dream home overshadowed everything else. Michelle was thrilled with Nathan's surprise and quickly set about organizing their new life. However, as time passed, the family's expenses began to outstrip Nathan's earnings. The financial strain started to dim the happiness of their new home, highlighting the harsh reality that financial troubles could strain even the strongest relationships. In a bid to correct their worsening financial situation, Nathan decided to volunteer for deployment to Iraq in mid-2009. His 6-month deployment helped improve the family's financial condition significantly. Upon his return, he enjoyed a brief rest at home but soon felt compelled to return to Iraq, driven by a sense of duty and the financial benefits it brought. During Nathan's absence, Michelle struggled with anxiety and the daunting prospect of managing alone with 4 children. Her fears about maintaining their standard of living without Nathan's income led her to seek employment at a corporate credit card telemarketing firm, where she made new acquaintances and began to envision a future where she might own her own business. To further her ambitions, Michelle also enrolled in a school of aesthetics. However, the physical and emotional distance created by Nathan's deployments took a toll on their relationship. The constant travel and long periods apart cooled the once warm bond between Nathan and Michelle. In his absence, Michelle, craving affection and attention, began an affair with a colleague, Michael Rudolph Rodriguez, a handsome, local womanizer known for his devious past. Michelle's relationship with Michael, whom they jokingly called Sweet Rudy, became her secret escape from the loneliness and challenges of her life as a military wife. By the end of 2009, when Nathan returned home, it appeared that the distance and their trials had surprisingly benefited their relationship. Nathan was captivated by the positive changes in Michelle's appearance and demeanor. Unaware of her affair, he attributed these changes to her personal growth and dedication to their family. The children, having grown up largely without their father's presence, were also impacted by his frequent absences, which affected their upbringing. Nathan resolved not to leave his family for extended periods anymore, oblivious to the true reason behind Michelle's transformation. As Nathan found ways to earn additional income through night shifts and private baseball coaching for children, Michelle's act began to unravel. Once the family's standard of living started to decline again, Michelle's demeanor shifted dramatically, revealing the unstable foundation on which their recent happiness had been built. As Thanksgiving 2010 approached, the Payette household prepared to host family members for the holiday. Brother Eric and his wife Veronica were visiting for the first time in a while, and their arrival was meant to be a joyful reunion. However, the atmosphere they walked into was far from celebratory. It was immediately apparent to the guests that tension hung heavy in the air. Nathan and Michelle's relationship had deteriorated significantly. The spark that once defined their union seemed extinguished, and the strain was palpable not just emotionally but also financially. The signs were everywhere. from an almost empty pantry and refrigerator to the forced interactions between the couple. Just a week after this strained Thanksgiving, on the night of December 2010, Michelle engaged in a telling exchange with Michael Rodriguez. At 11:12 p.m., she received a message from him checking in on her well-being and discussing some work matters. Their messages, while seemingly innocuous, hinted at deeper connections and ongoing plans. Michelle's response that Nathan had just woken her up and was trying to leave for work belied a casual tone that masked the gravity of what was unfolding behind the scenes. In the months leading up to this night, Michelle's discontent had grown. She harbored no desire to stay with Nathan, but was equally unenthusiastic about the prospect of leaving him. The thought of divorce brought worries of financial instability and losing the lifestyle she had grown accustomed to. Moreover, she was painfully aware of the benefits that would come from Nathan's military insurance in the event of his untimely death, an unsettling $6,500 that began to seed dark thoughts in her mind. These thoughts turned into a sinister plot when she shared them with Michael, who found the idea intriguing enough to help formulate a plan. They knew they couldn't pull off such a scheme alone. Thus, they roped in Corey Alexis Hawkins, a known criminal with a history of theft and fraud, who agreed to participate for a hefty $20,000 payout. As the plan expanded, they also enlisted Jessica Austin, Corey's girlfriend, and her friend Shannon, a figure from the adult film industry, promising her a cut of the proceeds. The group devised a chilling plan. Nathan would be shot in his Chevrolet Tahoe in the vehicle, with his body inside, would be abandoned in an apartment complex parking lot. Jessica was tasked with buying the necessary items for the crime: men's gloves, a car cover, and a fragrance to mask any smells. Shannon's role was to provide Michael an alibi if needed. On the day of the murder, Michelle, feeling ill, deviated from her usual schedule and arrived home early at around 5:30 p.m. Upon entering, she found Nathan asleep on the sofa. She woke him, suggesting they go upstairs to rest together, marking their last peaceful moment before the impending chaos. As Nathan prepared to leave for work, Michelle was secretly exchanging coded messages with Michael, who was parked near their home in a black Cadillac SRX. With calculated coldness, Michael and his accomplice approached Nathan as he was about to leave, catching him off guard. Michael, knowing the threat Nathan's military training posed, shot him 5 times in the back. The assassins quickly fled the scene, heading to a designated hideout to destroy their clothes and dispose of other incriminating evidence. Michael and Shannon then went to a hotel to establish their alibi, while Jessica meticulously cleaned their temporary apartment. As emergency services and police arrived at the scene, the gravity of the crime began to unfold. Detective Todd Williams took the lead, examining the garage where the shooting occurred. The scene was gruesome, with blood smeared on the walls and floor, and Nathan's uniform lying next to his untouched wallet and keys. The absence of any stolen valuables quickly led the police to rule out robbery as a motive, deepening the mystery of this brutal act in what was considered one of the most exemplary neighborhoods. The investigation was just beginning, and the truth, when uncovered, would shake the community to its core. Detective Lori Anderson, having meticulously examined the scene of the crime, turned her attention to interviewing Michelle Payette, the victim's wife. Her initial recount of the events that transpired seemed straightforward enough, but a curious addition about their financial struggles caught the detective's attention. This revelation prompted the police to consider other potential issues Nathan might have been hiding, perhaps a gambling problem, undisclosed debts, or even an extramarital affair. Any of these could potentially explain the motives behind the attack, especially since all evidence indicated that Nathan had been deliberately targeted. The police proceeded to examine Nathan's cell phone, which contained nothing but photos of his wife and children. This only reinforced their perception of Nathan as a devoted family man, complicating the narrative that he might have been involved in any secretive behaviors that could lead to his murder. In their continued efforts to uncover the truth, the investigators decided to canvass the neighborhood. Statistically, there's usually someone who has seen or heard something pertinent, and this case was no exception. Several neighbors reported seeing a suspicious car parked near the Payette residence around the time of the murder, driven by a man in a brown sweatshirt. This vehicle was seen speeding away just after the gunshots were heard, giving the detectives their first significant lead. As this investigation unfolded, Nathan's family from Guam, led by his distraught mother, Carmelita Payette, arrived in Nevada. Overwhelmed with grief, Carmelita could not fathom the early death of her son. Upon their arrival, Michelle's reaction to seeing her mother-in-law, collapsing into her arms and then fainting, seemed theatrical to Carmelita, who suspected it might have been feigned. Detectives, piecing together the accounts and suspicious behaviors, decided to question Michelle again. Surprisingly, during the interview, she mentioned that her colleague, Michael Rodriguez, drove a car similar to the one seen by neighbors on the night of the murder. This slip of information began to reshape the investigation, as it inadvertently linked Michael directly to the events of that night. Digging deeper, the police looked into Michael Rodriguez's background and found a criminal record that added to their suspicions. They brought him in for questioning. Michael claimed that on the evening of Nathan's murder, he was out shopping around 9 p.m. and subsequently met a woman named Shannon, with whom he had a long conversation and later went to a hotel. To verify his alibi, detectives contacted Shannon, who confirmed the romantic encounter. However, something in her account didn't quite add up to the investigators. They decided to examine the information in Michelle's phone, which revealed a year-long correspondence between her and Michael. The messages exchanged on the day of the murder discussed a contract with someone named Van DJK, but the language used was cryptic, more akin to coded messages than a business negotiation. Growing increasingly confident of Michael and Michelle's involvement, the police, however, lacked enough concrete evidence to keep Michael detained, so he was released pending further investigation. Upon re-examining Michelle's phone, detectives brought her in for another round of questioning. Visibly nervous and realizing that the investigators knew far more than she had anticipated, Michelle confessed to her affair with Michael. Eventually, she admitted that months before Nathan's death, they had concocted a plan to kill him to claim life insurance money. Michelle claimed she had second thoughts, tried to sabotage the plan by disabling Nathan's alarm clock, and hoped that her accomplice would miss the opportunity to carry out their plot. Her claims of remorse, however, were contradicted by the flirtatious emoji she sent Michael after learning of Nathan's death, undermining her credibility. Soon after, Shannon turned herself in to the police, perhaps realizing her precarious situation. She claimed that she had been coerced into providing an alibi and was initially told they were teaching a lesson to a drug dealer. Shannon's arrival at the hotel, confirmed by CCTV footage to be later than Michael had stated, aligned more closely with the time after the murder had been committed. Her testimony led detectives to Corey and Jessica. Despite Corey's denials, the web of deceit and conspiracy was unraveling, pointing increasingly towards a planned and brutal execution of Nathan Payette. In the chilling aftermath of Sergeant Nathan Payette's murder, his family and friends gathered at the Nellis Base Chapel on December 7, 2010, to honor his memory. Strikingly, Michelle chose to skip the memorial service, a decision that raised eyebrows among those who knew the couple's turbulent history. At the service, many of Nathan's comrades spoke of his resilience and dedication to military service. His squadron commander highlighted the feats Nathan had accomplished for his country and his family, painting a picture of a man who was not only a reliable comrade in arms, but also modest and decent. During the eulogy, Nathan's brother Eric said, "My brother has always been an example for me and the rest of my family. He truly loved life, was devoted to his wife and children. Everything Nathan ever did, he did in the name of his homeland, love, and friends." The emotional weight of the loss was palpable as the attendees processed the depth of Nathan's character and his untimely death. On December 9th, Nathan's remains were transported to Guam, where a requiem mass was held at St. Francis Church in Tamuning on December 15th. Military honors marked his burial at PY City Cemetery, with the ceremony including a procession of 36 motorcycles and a 21-gun salute that echoed his heroic farewell. The investigation into Nathan's murder led to the arrest of Michael Rodriguez, Corey Hawkins, and Jessica Austin on December 8, 2010, followed by Michelle Payette the next day. Concerned about Michelle's mental state, the police placed her under surveillance to prevent any potential self-harm. On January 4, 2011, the four accomplices faced charges in Clark County District Court for conspiracy to commit murder and murder with a firearm, among other charges. The trials were protracted affairs, dragging on for 3 years with multiple motions filed by the defense to exclude evidence, all of which were ultimately rejected by the court. Finally, on September 21, 2015, the trials concluded. Michael Rodriguez, seeking to avoid the death penalty, pleaded guilty and was sentenced on September 29 to life imprisonment without parole. His lack of remorse at the sentencing was noted by all present. Michelle's trial followed in October. Despite her insistence that she had reconsidered her role in the conspiracy, the overwhelming evidence and her own previous admissions painted a different picture. In a dramatic courtroom moment, she tearfully apologized to Nathan's parents, claiming confusion and mistake led her down this dark path. However, the judge and prosecutor were unconvinced by her expressions of regret. Facing the potential of capital punishment, Michelle eventually pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder and first-degree murder with a firearm. The Payette family, demonstrating remarkable compassion, requested that the death penalty not be applied to Michelle. Corey Hawkins also accepted a plea deal, receiving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Jessica Austin struck a deal with prosecutors, pleading guilty to conspiracy to commit murder. In March 2016, during her final sentencing, Michelle cited an unstable emotional state as the impetus for her actions and asked for forgiveness from Nathan's family once more. Carmelita Payette, embodying forgiveness and grace, extended mercy to Michelle, though she poignantly noted the irreversible damage Michelle had done to her own children and the broader family. As the courtroom proceedings wrapped up, Eric Payette expressed a hope for moving forward without the shadow of this tragedy defining their lives. Veronica Payette, contrasting with her husband's forgiving stance, expressed her disdain for Michelle, underscoring the betrayal and its consequences on the family. This tragic story, with its layers of betrayal, love, and loss, leaves a lasting impact not just on the individuals directly involved, but also on the community and those who hear about it. The final message from the narrator, Jack, invites the audience to reflect on the profound effects of our choices and the pursuit of happiness at the expense of others.